Mental health is just as important for us children as it is for adults. That is why we spoke to the experts from the Children's Institute at UCT about their contribution to the 2022 Child Gauge on child and adolescent mental health. Stay tuned for educational entertainment right now on RX Radio.
Muriel, today we are talking about mental health and children. Why is it important to talk about children's mental health?
Emily, mental health issues have been around for a very long time. This is one of the age-old issues that has been, experienced in society. But there is a huge stigma around, especially mental health illnesses. So today's session is very important, focusing on mental health because it is a global crisis. The latest information we have shows that 1 out of 7 adolescents that are between the age of 10 and 19 years, they are living with a diagnosed mental disorder. This is according to a report that was done by the World Health Organization, along with other partners such as UNICEF and other development partners. So it is a big problem that we are faced with. And therefore, talking about it is a critical part of making sure that we really begin to break the silence around issues of mental health and mental well-being.
So the Children Gauge this year is focusing on child mental health. What do you hope to achieve for the issue of the Child Gauge?
Our expectation is that, first of all, it serves as a source of information which can really help us to understand the situation of mental health in the country and the actions that we need to take together. So, for instance, the report is very clear that between 10 and 20% of children will actually develop a mental disorder or neurodevelopmental disability or both. That is a serious finding from the report. The report also indicates that about 65% of children and adolescents in South Africa have experienced mental health issues, but they did not seek help. Then another finding of the report is that actually 50% of adult mental health disorders started in the teen years, typically around the age of 14. So the Child Gauge report is really a wake-up call for all of us to acknowledge that mental health problems are normal, they are part of society, we should talk about them, and we should seek help.
So Muriel, what lessons have you learned from the Child Gauge this year?
So far, I think the Child Gauge report has helped to put in the public space, in the public sphere, the fact that we need to destigmatize mental health issues. That is the first lesson that we have learned. The second lesson we have learned is the sense of agency, that, the impact of COVID has further worsened the challenges of mental well-being. And therefore, we need to do something at speed, and we need to involve the whole society. This cannot be about a few sectors, maybe led by government, responding. It really requires that all of us play a part, from the young people themselves to the families, the schools, communities, everybody. We all have an important role to play in addressing issues of mental health.
That's so interesting. So, Muriel, what advice would you give to children about reaching out for help with their mental health?
Well, the first advice is that you are not alone. I think that is part of also addressing the stigma. We need to make sure that when young people feel that they are going through a difficult period, they need to reach out. They need to reach out to someone that they can trust. They need to seek help early and not to try and deal with the problem on their own. So the advice we are giving to young people is that help is available. For instance, UNICEF works very closely with Child Helpline, where they provide services remotely and anonymously to children. and young people, families and parents and caregivers are an important source of help. So our advice to young people is that they should reach out to their family members, their trusted family members, so that they seek the immediate help that they need. The school system as well, and as UNICEF, we work with the Department of Basic Education. There are support structures within the schools. You have guidance counselors who are available. So our encouragement to all young people is that whenever they feel they need help, they need to talk to someone they can trust. Within the schools, there are structures.
Muriel, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Absolutely. I think just to share a bit more about the work that we do at UNICEF, which focuses on mental health. First of all, we believe very strongly that children and adolescent well-being is deeply rooted in the environments that they live in. So we work first and foremost with families. We know from evidence that parenting programs are absolutely crucial. So we work with families to strengthen their ability to support children and to provide the critical, loving environment which all children deserve. We also work very closely with Department of Basic Education because we realize that children are in school for a long period of time, and therefore schools can provide a powerful environment, a powerful space and safe space that will promote and protect young children's and youth's mental health. So those are some of the structures that we work with. And lastly, we believe that mental health issues require everyone to play a role. So it is really a call to everyone to play their part. We call on governments, on private sector, communities and families to work together to create a protective environment.
Thank you for listening to this interview on 2022 Child Gauge on child and adolescent mental health. We hope that you learned something new about the importance of taking care of our mental health. This was put together by Oryx Radio, a radio station by and for children at Red Cross War Memorial Children's Hospital. If you'd like to find out more about the Child Gauge interviews, visit our YouTube channel or head over to the Children's Institute website at www.ci.uct.ac.za. That's www.ci.uct.ac.za. Oryx Radio by and for children.